Honorable Chairperson, Dr. Muhammad Khalid Hassan Sahab, our esteemed speaker, Taiq Ali Khan Sahab, distinguished faculty members, my dear colleagues, both present here and those who have joined us online. Assalamu alaikum and a very cheerful morning to all of you. I, Yusra Batul, take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this special lecture titled Project Planning. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this special lecture titled Project Planning in Large-Scale Projects, organized by Department of Architecture. On behalf of my colleagues and my teachers, I would like to say that we feel honored to have with us Taiq Ali Khan Sahab as the resource person for this session. Although it is very difficult to introduce someone as dynamic a personality with Taiq sir, I will still attempt to do the same. About Taiq sir, I'd first and foremost like to mention that he is a third batch graduate from this very department. I'm sure it feels nostalgic being back here, sir. Taiq sir is presently associated with WSP Dubai as a principal planning engineer. With more than 20 years of experience, he has contributed to projects like Museum of the Future Dubai, Louvre Museum Abu Dhabi, Paris Sorbonne University Abu Dhabi, Arzanah Medical Complex Abu Dhabi, the Dubai Expo Mall, Reliance Retail Mumbai, etc. He is also a certified project management professional from NICMARC, Pune. Today, he is here with his beautiful family, visiting his alma mater after many, many years. Without any further ado, I would like to request our senior most faculty member, Sanjeev Maheshwari Sahab, to deliver the welcome address.
Hello everybody. A very good morning to all of you. I express my immense pleasure in welcoming you all here. I am very happy whenever there are students turning up in large number physically or through net virtually. And today is a special day as I have one of our illustrious alumnus who has joined us not as a student anymore, but as a working professional. Architect Taiq Ali Khan, Taiq as we used to fondly call him, address him, is with us, bringing in a vast experience of having worked with some of the better names in the construction world. Based in UAE, he has works to his credit ranging from Mumbai to Abu Dhabi to Dubai. He brings in a very vast experience that he would like to share with us, especially the students who are pursuing and likely to be architects in days to come, people who are graduating and post-graduating. I would like to welcome people who have joined in on electronic media or social media. We hope that interaction and sharing his views with us on matters that are important these days in terms of construction and management would be an eye-opener, and in fact will propel us in the department to make subtle and maybe sea changes in our course curricula so that this becomes an event which will trigger something good and meaningful in days to come. I would like to extend my warm welcome to the family, Mrs. Adiba Khan. She is also an architect, and their children, Miss Jaza and Miss Tisha. That's very, very interesting that when he had left this department almost 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, he was single, and now he's with his family. I extend a warm welcome to all of you, and I hope that it would be an eye-opener and students would really make maximum of what his experience has been. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. As I've already been introduced, just to recap that I am from the third batch from this department. This is my alma mater, and I'm grateful for the education I have received here. Just to put things in perspective, Khalid Saab is my senior, 2-year senior, and Faraz and Farooq and Sharmeen, they are my juniors, so I'm in between them. Today I have come here to discuss about and share my experience and talk about another avenue which is open for all of you after you graduate from here. This is project planning, which is under project management. Now this is not, this is a time planning and not architectural planning that you people are aware of. This is another avenue which is open for all of you. I will discuss about this in little detail after the presentation. So let's get on with the presentation first, and then we will discuss a little bit about my experience and about this opportunity that all of you have. Okay, so my presentation today is on project planning in large-scale projects. My presentation is 3 parts. One is a little bit about myself, which has already been introduced, so we'll just skip it very fast. Then an overview of the projects that I have worked on, and lastly about planning challenges or planning for the largest project that I have done, which is Louvre Museum, Abu Dhabi. Let's get on with it now. It has already been told, these are the pictures of the projects that I have worked on. We'll go into a little bit more detail on the project pictures. Rest everything has already been said, so let's skip this. I'm working on this tower now. It's a 80-story tower, and the building that you see here is Burj Khalifa. So it is next to Burj Khalifa, and this is Dubai Opera. So it is sandwiched between Burj Khalifa and Burj Opera. This is the project I'm working on. G+80, fully residential almost, retail on the ground floor. A little bit detail about it. Basically, as I told you, I am into the time planning of it. I work on a software called Primavera. So I'm into time planning of it, and my basic responsibility is to make a program of time, to monitor the time aspect of it, to manage the contracts of the project, and any claims that is there to manage those claims. Now this is same project. This is the status of it now. We have completed the structure. Facade is going on. This is a model of it. These are some of the plans of the 3 BHK and 4 BHK apartments. The USP of the project is that this is an under construction project. The picture is from there. From the balcony of the project, if you see out, you see the Dubai Mall. This is like right at the center of Dubai, the Dubai Mall, the Dubai Fountain. You can see it from your drawing room and from your balcony. This is the USP of the project. This is another iconic project I worked on. It is called Museum of the Future. I was involved with the Dubai government in this project, managing the construction and the finishes of it. This is called as the most beautiful building of the world. The Arabic script that you see is basically poetry from the Sheikh of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed. The poetry is written there, and the structure of this is an exoskeleton of steel. There is no column in between. The structure is only a core wall, which is the lift and the staircases which hold the building together. It's a huge building. It looks very small, but it's 7-story. Each story is 6 meters, 5 meters, 7-story, and 3-story under the ground. So 9-story building. I basically worked on exhibits which are inside the museum. These are some of the, the main exhibits which are inside the building. This is a model of space station. They call it as OSS Hope. UAE want to go into space in 50 years. Want to think of how it and what it will be. So it's an experience. This is how this is an exhibit, interactive exhibit inside the museum. You can play with the gadgets and see. And this is a 12-meter screen projected, which is on the projector. This is my favorite exhibit. It is called as Volt of Life. It's basically of animals and trees and other living beings. And the idea is that you will have an handheld device, and you will plug 2 or 3 in your handheld device. You have to go to one docking station. You put it in the docking station, and the idea is to, if you combine those species, what it will look like. That is, you can go and see how it looks like. So it's one of the good exhibit which is there. This is the the play area for the kids. They have like topography made of rubber flooring. This is one of the interactive exhibit for the kids. Kids can put some docking spheres are there inside it. You can put it and then something happens on the floor. The floor is screen. These are other. This is also one of the good exhibits. This is called as it gives an impression of a sand there, and if you walk in that, the projectors are so aligned that the lights will move according to how you are moving in that. So it is quite interesting there. Yeah, going to the next project. This is before that I was involved in Dubai Expo Mall in Expo 2020 Dubai. This is how the mall. It's a horizontal development like this. Nothing too great about it. This is when we were doing the construction, some construction pictures, and this is architect's impression about it. This is what basically I work on. We call it a program in which aspect of each activity we plot it and then we monitor it. This is how the things looks, how I work. Now we come to the main presentation, which is Louvre Museum and the planning challenges for this museum. Now this museum was inaugurated on 8th November 2017 by French President Macron and United Arab Emirates Vice President and Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The museum is located in Sadia, Thailand. The area is 24,000 square meters, 8,000 square meters of gallery, and it is the largest museum in the Arabian Peninsula. The cost of the project was 2.5 billion dirhams. Yeah. About the project, these are the pictures of the project. This is my favorite place, basically. We'll see about it later. This project is inside the seawater. It is not on any island, on any platform. It is inside the sea. So the sea, the waves of the sea. This is one of the biggest challenge that we had. So whenever you think about making a building in the sea, inside the sea or in water, you think about these, which is like it's called as caisson is the name of this. This is cofferdam, or building piers for the bridges inside the water or sea. And the basic concept of these solutions were that you make a steel wall around the place where you want to build, and then you drain the area inside, make a dry wall, dry land, and you start constructing in that area. Really, when you build inside a water, we did something else for the Museum of the Future, for Louvre Museum. This is what we did. uh, the first step was that you reclaim the land in the sea. So you fill up the land. And after that, you make a MIP wall, which is called as material in place or mixed in place wall. It's a waterproof wall. Then you drain the area of water inside. You start the draining of the water. Then you excavate the area, and then you construct your building in the dry area. Once the building is constructed, then you remove the dewatering of the area. So you have the water getting filled in the place. And the last step is to remove this structure, the MIP wall, from it, demolish it, and at the end you have a building which is inside the water. So this is what we used. We were lucky basically that when I was working as a contractor in this project, we got the site at this level in which the dry area was there for us to sequence the activities. The planning challenge was that when to start this dewatering, to stop the dewatering and let the water in. So what are the activities which should be completed before we let the water in? So especially like we have to get the bridges done because the building is inside the water, the bridges has to be done. Then there is something like wearing wall. The wearing wall is basically an envelope of cladding outside the building so that when the wave hits the building, it doesn't damage the building too much. That's a wearing wall, so that has to be completed. And we have to complete the dome. We'll get into the dome first. This building is basically a dome on top of some 16, 17 buildings and a dome on the top. The dome is a huge dome. It's 180 meter. Dome has to be done because otherwise you could not have made a dome if it is in the water. You could not have done that. It is a logistic nightmare if you try to do it with ships and things like that. So planning aspect was to see about the items which has to be done before you let the water in. So now going in the dome, this is how the building is, a dome on top of a different structure. Now the first is how to plan to construct this huge 180 meter span dome which weighs 8 on top of your do. So that was the first challenge which is there, which is how to plan this dome. And the solution at the end was simple, is that you sequence the buildings which were below the dome and you construct those buildings in sequence and you start the dome on top of it. So this is the buildings, we started with these buildings and then we completed the buildings which is below the dome so that we can start the dome, and the buildings which are outside can be done later. So planning sequence of work, this is how you have sequence of work so that goes. The challenge for the dome is 8,000 tons. How are you going to support it while it is getting constructed? So the solution was that we made temporary steel towers, some 80 towers like this was there, and then we constructed the dome on top of the towers, piece by piece, and these towers has to rest somewhere. So if I'm making the buildings below the dome and then resting this towers on those buildings, I have to basically redesign the structure so that 8 ton load can come on that structure. So the first challenge was to redesign the structure of the building so that this temporary towers on the building on top of it. So that was the planning challenge, and we have to cater for the time required for redesigning, for shop drawing submissions, approvals, to get this work in progress. The third one was simple. That third one is the huge structures which has to be put in place. So what to do about how to put this huge structure. The span is 180 meters, how to put it in that area. The solution was to have huge cranes. We had these are some tower cranes, but with that we had these mobile cranes which were there. So this were like 600 tons and 1,600 ton mobile crane. Now this is one of the 1,600 ton crane. There are some 8 such crane in the world. And, to get this for a certain time, so that our work, the biggest work of the dome, can be done with this crane. One fact is that you see they are on crawlers, and to move these cranes in the sand, we have to make steel plates. The steel plates have to be placed so that this crane can move. It was so heavy. So it was fun seeing those. Now the third challenge planning was that they were very specific for structure of making the structure of Louvre project. And the thing is, we could not pour more than 350 layer of concrete at one time. So for doing that, what was required was that this is like the raft of the project, and we can 9 days for the next to be done, adjacent one, and another 9 days for the adjacent to be done. So we have to go like that all the way through the structure. So these are some time calculations for it. So generally it took us 90 days to do a 4,500 meter square of raft, which generally in any other project when I plan, it takes half this time. 45 days you can easily do this raft. But because of this specification, we have to plan this as individual rafts so that we know when we can do those things. So this was another challenge. Go to the next one. Now the building is inside the sea, so there will be corrosion effect of the sea in it. So they were very high standard, and we had very thick walls, and rebar was extensive, but still we have to protect the rebar of it. So this was one of the technology which has been used in the Louvre Museum, which is called as cathodic protection. It's a jargon for something like once we do the rebar, there is a small DC current which runs through the rebar, and it is still running. It's like a continuous lifelong thing. So if you run this DC current in the rebar, and you have an anode, we bury an anode next to it and make this DC current in the rebar, it acts as a cathode. It's a rust to have. So planning perspective, there were some steel strips which has to be added or attached with the rebar so that the current can go through that. So that used to take like 2 days. After the rebar is complete, it is 2 days. Then we have to test whether the current is moving in that before we pour the concrete, because once you pour the concrete, you cannot check that. And then it has to be connected to one generator who is used to provide that current once the concrete is done. So this is one of the things that we used. The other challenge was that there were very few people in the world who know this and who can work on this. So we come, and they used to like take more time than we in making the rebar there. So that was another challenge that we have to cater for doing this project. Then this is the counter area of Louvre Museum. It's a simple, it looks like we have white box, wall, ceiling, floor, white. There are 3 rooms like that outside. The challenge here, or the fun thing here, is that you can't see from where the AC, it is getting cooled. So I used to have fun. I took some of my colleagues, some civil engineers, some architects there, and this is free. You can go inside free. Until here it is free. So we used to go inside, and I used to tell them, find from where this room is getting cooled. Please find. From the floor, from the wall, from the ceiling. There are no grills. There is no opening where you can see the air is coming out. So after 10-15 minutes, I never used to get an answer. So this is something special. We have chilled beams and chilled ceilings there. Now this chilled ceilings, fridge, you have copper tubes in which Freon or something, but here it is chilled water, which runs through that copper tubes, and which cools the ceiling, and that cools the area below it. So this is when it was getting constructed. In other area like administrative office also, we have used similar thing, which is chilled beam, same concept, but a limited area. So this was one of the things. The time aspect of it, variety item, it took 14 weeks of this item, 45 for 20. We used to cater for that also while we are gram of it or the time aspect of it. It's a special, so if anybody has the person doing it so that he better how much time it takes, because for us it was like this. Now these were the challenges that we feel in the project. Then there were other also, which was we had false ceiling, which is there everywhere, but we had raised floor, which is also there nowadays. But we had false walls also. I coined the term false walls. So we had a RCC structure, wall ceiling floor, no block work because it's inside the sea. And after that we had MEP services in the floor, in the wall, in the ceiling. And after that only we made the flooring, the raised floor, and then we covered the wall with the false wall, and then the false ceiling. So that's like a box inside a box with MEP services all around you. So while putting a program for that, you have to cater for this sequence. There were glass ceilings in many of the rooms. Glass ceiling is not like window glass. It's a ceiling which is inside as a false ceiling, a glass ceiling. That was also a proprietary item, very costly, and we have to cater for that. Then because the building is inside the sea, we have to have breakwaters, marine works, those things. Now breakwater is basically concrete blocks that you place in the sea so that the sea water, the sea waves don't come and splash the wall of the building too much. And then we have marine piles for the architectural sense also, and as a security so that the ships will not be able to come close to the building itself. So those are the marine piles, and we have piers and moorings. There is a way in which the VIP people can come and come from the sea also. We had leather floors and bronze cladded walls, and these are real leather and bronze. The leather floor is not a carpet, it was floor itself. So when I first saw it, when the specifications come to me, I was very surprised, and I went to my project director. I asked him, what is this? So he was also like, maybe leather type floor, but actually it was leather floor. So there is a sequence of activities. It's also a specialist item, a sequence of activities in which how you can put leather on the floor and keep it there. Whenever I take anybody of my colleagues or anybody, I used to go and I used to touch it. People don't realize that it is real leather which is on the floor. And then there are rooms in which we had bronze walls. So it is bronze cladded walls, real bronze which is there, and it has a nice effect to the museum. There are three bridges that we have to make because building is inside the sea. We have glass doors, huge glass doors, 3.5 meters high, with micro louvers inside. So that was also one of the challenge, the logistics part of it and how to get it installed. And then there are, because it's a museum, there were elaborate security arrangements which were confidential even for us. So how to cater for that? So these were challenges. I will not go into detail of these challenges now, maybe sometime in the future. That's my main presentation. I would like to show you one time lapse of 3 minutes for, can we start? Yeah. It's a 3-minute time lapse of 5 years that we have spent in Louvre Museum. So let's have it. So this is how the building looks like now. Even 8-year time lapse, before me also, because people worked with it. So this is Saadiyat Island in Abu Dhabi, and some excavation of the work is ongoing. Yeah, right. Some piles. This piling work which is ongoing, and some excavation is ongoing there. This is what I told you about the foundation and checkered plate, and only one by one we can do. This is a tunnel which is there, so the excavation of a tunnel which is happening. Yeah, now we are making the structure, the buildings below, inside the dome. Now we are putting the dome, the steel structure on the building to make the. So we have to basically get each piece, element of the dome and join it together, and at the end rest it on the structure. So this is the thing, to rest everything on the structure, and then to start cladding, aluminum cladding. There were 4 layers of aluminum cladding on the top and 4 on the bottom to do the aluminum. And then after the cladding, yeah, you have to start removing the temporary structure that you have built, and then to complete the internal facade and internal paving works inside the building. So this is completing of the facade inside the buildings. This is creating waterproofing and tiles between the buildings. And now it's getting completed so that the water can come in. This is called as rain of light. This was the catchphrase for it, rain of light. So the light comes and it gives. This is just completing the waterproofing and so the area so that the water can come in. So now dewatering stopped. Water is inside the building now, touching the building. And then you have done the marine works outside. This is the bridge. The water is inside. This is outside landscaping on the mainland, completing the landscaping works. And this is how the building looks like. Okay, so before we go into question answer session, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you about some of my experience. This is the main reason I want to come here, to tell about my experience and to little bit guide you people. So first of all, you all people have opportunity in project management. Now, this project management is not is not the architecture work. It's on the time planning part of it. The way to get into it is after you complete your architecture or your civil engineering. After that, you do a course in construction management or project management, which you can get through SPA Delhi or NICMAR, which has campuses in Delhi, Hyderabad, Pune, and any other institute which provides this construction planning or project planning. In my batch, when I was doing construction project management, I had 6 architects with me. There were 30 civil engineers, but 6 architects also with me, and they are doing, all of them are doing quite good. After you complete this course, you have opportunity to go into construction consultancy firms or contracting companies in India and abroad. There is an instance in my life is that when I was studying in this department in 3rd year, I had a similar presentation done by somebody, and that person told me about project planning, that project management. In fact, that was the first time I heard about project management. I inquired about it, and then I got selection in NICMAR Pune. I did my construction management from there, and that changed the course of my life, my career life, and which has brought me here now. There is another, before we start the question answer session, there is another instance which has left impression on me, and it is an experience that everybody should know about, is that when I completed my post-graduation and I got a job, we had a get-together with my classmates, with friends. So in that, there was a moment, one-to-one discussion with one of my senior, who was struggling to get a job. And he came to me and he told me that if he is struggling to get a job because he has not studied when in college. And if he get another chance, he would very seriously study in the college. Now, this is your time for studying for all of you. You should be studying what has been taught, as well as you have to prepare for what is after this this college, what is going to come after this college. You have a lot of time, and you can prepare for many things now. For example, the world that we see is moving now towards IT. So AutoCAD is basic. You all have to learn AutoCAD as a basic. It's like ABC of English. After that, there are softwares which are now being used throughout the world, which are Revit. People must have known about it. BIM modeling, BIM modeling, Naviswork, Rhino, and then there are presentation softwares, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, Lumion, etc. Now my wife works on many of them, and you have to know those softwares to get into a niche, because then if you know about Revit and BIM and you say, I know about them, I have certificates and I have worked a couple of years on them, and then you approach a job, it will be very easy to get a good job. Yeah, you people have to invest time and money on them and get certificates under your belt, so that when you hit the job market, you hit the ground running. And it will also save your stress in trying to learn while you are doing a job at the same time. There is another advice, from my experience, is that do higher education now. After your graduation, do higher education now. So what happens is that when you start the job after that, your progression is faster career-wise, and you can plan your life better. Otherwise, it is a little complicated. Now, I think we have discussed, let's start the question answer session. If you people have question, we have discussed about project planning, we have discussed about intricacies in construction of Louvre Museum, about my experiences. Anybody has any questions, formal, informal? This is a time for you to speak. Yeah.
Hello, good Assalamu alaikum to everyone. First of all, sir, thank you so much for enlightening us on such a beautiful and informative topic. So, first of all, I have a kind of, you can say, a small question first. So, the dome of that structure, the one you told, they had kind of openings, small openings.
Yeah.
So in Abu Dhabi, isn't dust a factor? Isn't like a
Yes.
void in the concept?
A very good question. And yes, dust is a factor, and even rain. We have rains now also.
Right.
Earlier rains was not there, but now we have rains also.
Yes.
So these openings are there. There is no, and the rain comes inside. So this comes into all of us mind when we were making it. The dust aspect is little easier to manage because we can maintain it and clean the dome. There is a way of cleaning it. We can clean it. It is costly, and people have to hang from ropes to clean it. But there is a way, and it is getting cleaned every like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And there is maintenance package, annual maintenance package, expensive, but it is done. The other problem was that if the dust is there and the rain is coming and the building below it is white, so the rain, when it splashes, it becomes gray because it comes with the dust, right? So when we are making it, interestingly, it is called as UHPFRC panels are there, which was specially designed for them. And this was an issue, and we told the client also at that time and the consultant also, and he said, no, it is okay, we'll manage. But later, once the building is done and we were out of the project, they realized it, and then they repainted all the buildings same white color, which is waterproof coat. So they repainted it again as a whatever, as a repair or whatever, so that the building remains white and it can be easily cleaned. So this is what is there.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Like we just concluded that we can consider those factors later and we can still have a way to solve them. So mostly in India, what we see is while construction and planning, we often see these things like dust and rain as a problem and avoid such innovative designs. Uh, like we simply avoid them instead of solving the problems. And so,
Yeah.
what is the thing that's actually stopping India from looking into that kind of planning and construction? And
Yeah.
when can we see India doing such things?
Okay. The answer is that generally when you do construction planning or architecture, there is a money aspect of it, that you can't do such things because what about maintenance, what the material cost, all those things. But there is for niche buildings, like for example, future, this is also will be done. There are technologies which are getting developed for it. For example, is in our office itself, which will be linked to the building. It will go around the building and it will clean the building 24 hours a day. But they are working on it. But are not that important rather than to have an iconic effect of the building. So initially, you that your imagination can run wild. No problem about maintenance. No problem can be done.
Thank you so much, sir. That was great to hear.
Anybody else?
Any other queries? Any other queries from this?
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Since it's coming from a first year student, so it can be a complete baseless question.
No worries.
But I wanna ask, can we use chilled ceiling and wall that you described, beams and columns in residential building?
Yes, it can be done if you're talking about theoretically, but it is very costly, and it is costly, and it is you have maintenance is very high. So it basically depends on what is the level of the building. Now, if you are okay in making 2.5 billion dirham project, and you are okay with 100 million as the maintenance monthly or yearly, then you can do these things, because as soon as it gets something, you can't call an ordinary AC person to you have to call the proprietary person to come. So you have to think about these aspects. If you are making an iconic building here, which is 50 crore, thousands of crores, something, whatever, then you can think about these things. Then you can, yes,
Okay,
definitely.
it feels like I'll have a chilled room for a lifetime, but no money in my account.
Maybe.
Thank you, sir.
Any other queries from here? Yeah. Pass the mic, please.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
I'm a first year architecture student, so it is a very simple question.
Okay.
But I still ask that I want to ask that what kind of projects you were doing when you first started as an architect?
Okay. The first job, we have not discussed about that job here, because that was 20 years back. After I completed my construction management from NICMAR, I got campus placed in Pune. Because I did it from Pune, I was campus placed. So that's one of the things you people, that there is a job, there is a market if you are into construction management. There is an immediate market is there. So I got campus placed in Pune, and they appointed me as architect cum planner, like that. So I said, okay, I can be an architect. I have my certificate there, and that is one of the project which was there was one L&T John Deere factory in Pune, who were client of my company, Gurji Eastern, and they were doing some office and some tractor loading unloading bay. They had that small project. So when these clients approached us, I was junior, I was like just doing some presentation works and things like that. My manager asked me, you are an architect, do this project. So I was like put into the sea. You have to try to get into it. So that was the project. First project I did was one tractor unloading loading facility, very small one, and then one office building, small office building for them. That was from the construction consultancy. I was the architect cum supervision consultant for them. So that was the first project I did.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
We are also having a question here. Please pass the mic to the. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
Firstly, I had two questions, but my friend Usman already asked the dust and rain in part. And the second question was not about the projects you did. It was about the Dubai architecture in general. Actually, I was watching a video some days back about which was titled "Why Dubai Architecture Sucks," and he was talking about the sheer money that Dubai government spends on making these marvelous buildings and skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Like the Palm Jumeirah island, they transported the sand and built another island. And
Yes, as
and
a
it is
palm,
doing-
the
yes,
shape of a palm. Yes.
in the shape of farm, and it is
Yes.
doing again.
Yes.
So my question was that my question is the same, that isn't Dubai doing too much in terms of architecture, building architecture, as it is already a leading country in terms of architecture, building architecture. So
Yeah. Okay.
why not consider the other aspects in spite of building these
Yeah.
skyscrapers?
Okay. Good question. I'm not an expert about Dubai architecture and things like that. I will just tell my personal views on that. Now see, in the world, where the money is, you build iconic things, right? Now Dubai is very good in marketing itself, so that the money of the world comes there. When I joined when I was in Dubai first time in 2000, was getting made, and I had very critic as critic. I was very critical about it. Oh, only one road which is going out, and there is so much development inside that. So what if something happens in that road? So how these people will come out? I was like critic. But it's the most iconic project in Dubai. You people are talking about it here in India, in Aligarh, about that project. I went to a village in UP, and those people are talking me, there is some palm getting made there. So all the film personalities have bought villas there. Now their villa has, all of them has facing the sea, and it's an iconic. It has proved itself much more times over. Got the money for the government, got the money for the project, and it is iconic posh space. You can't buy a place. They're making another 2 palms. You know that? They are making a world also inside the sea. So it's more about how to attract the capital. That is very important in architecture. And if you can Google Dubai, it is full of fantastic buildings. Sometimes I drive and I stop in some place and say, man, what is this? This is iconic building. We don't know about it. Award-winning, world-famous award-winning buildings. One of this Museum of the Future, it's the most beautiful building in the world. They just made it now, 6 months back. So, Expo 2020. So, they can market it and they can make it. And it is good for the architects, man. We need big projects so that we can put more imagination into the building. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Please pass the mic.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Welcome.
So my question is that since you already mentioned that you joined the project into the third stage of its while it was dug and it has to be removed. You have mentioned something like
In which project? Museum of the Future?
Louvre Museum.
Oh no, in Louvre Museum, I joined the project in the third stage of like when the stage of reclaiming the land was done,
the land
and then the MIP wall was done, and then they excavated the land as a dry land for us to start the work. Then I joined.
Yes, sir. So my question is it project management should मतलब project management को हम start में ही शुरू क्यों नहीं करते हैं? In the sense कि before the inception of the projects in the field. तो जो time planning की जो आप बातें कर रहे थे, तो it should have been started and people must have been involved into the projects before it has been acting into the field in itself.
Yeah, and it is getting done. The project, so they employ a contractor, a project management consultant, to do a part of the, because of opportunity that they see in the market for that project. Downturn after that, and many projects stopped. So this project also stopped. So when it restarted, I was there in the project. So that's why it was there. The project management starts from the first, even before we start on the ground, we do. Yeah.
So the next question is, as you mentioned about the breakwaters and reclamation of land. So the reclamation of land leads to a lot of aquatic, it hampers the aquatic life a lot.
Yeah.
So in that very terms, जैसे कि पाम जुमेरिया की भी उसने बात की. So in that very terms, there are other possibilities of floating cities and amphibious architectures and various other kind of approach. So why this kind of architecture जिसमें हमने land reclaim किया, फिर that is not as sustainable as it should have been. और वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ कंक्रीट की लाइफ और जो हमारी एक्वेटिक लाइफ है वो दोनों हैम्पर कर रही है. So the sustainable aspect of these kind of structures go.
Okay. You talk about aquatic cities or floating cities and buildings. Now in Dubai we have that. Somebody else will talk about aquatic cities and floating cities and floating apartments and those things. They even had crazy thoughts of in the air cities, in balloon, on top of balloon. So that was in 2006-7 when it was booming. There was so much money in the market that they can talk. You can think about wild imagination. Google it, you will find the prints and everything. Sustainable. Yeah. Now going back to this thing of reclaiming the land and what about the aquatic life of the place. Now UAE, I will talk about UAE because my experience is mostly in UAE. They have very stringent rules, laws implemented very strictly on the people. Yeah. So when we were reclaiming that land, there was a method statement and there is a procedure how you are going to protect the life, how you should not contaminate the water a bit. Now, for example, I'll just tell an example. If you drop a kerosene oil in the sand in UAE, UAE is a very big sandy place. There is a fine of 50,000 dirhams for that. 50,000 dirhams is 5 lakh, 10 lakh rupees for dropping an oil on the sand. You will not even see it in 5 minutes. So they have stringent practices and rule in place that aquatic life, basically once we have done this marine piles, breakwaters, there is more life which has come. There were like birds on those piles. I have taken pictures, turtles. So in my site, when we were making the construction, there were like turtles going around the site and we have to be like, let's go first. It's more about the laws and how you implement it. There is always a solution for things. So when you are planning about some iconic project and you plan it properly and then you take care of these aspects also of it, you will have a sustainable thing which may even be more aquatic, beneficial for aquatic life. In Louvre. Anybody else?
Any other queries from the room? So, sir, we are having a query from our online participant.
Yep.
Samia Gohar, she's asking, as you mentioned that you have used bronze walls in the structure, does it increase the heating cooling load? Heating cooling load?
No, yeah. Now, bronze walls are not external walls. We had RCC, as I told, it was all RCC structure, thick, very thick wall, ceiling, floor. There were exhibits which are in like dark space, little dark space for the effect of the the exhibits. In that spaces, there are some 16 spaces in the museum. In those spaces, they have put in panels which are bronze panels. Now, those are real bronze panels. People coming and seeing it may dark space. But when I take any architect friend or anything, I say, man, see the. So they, and the ceiling is also bronze. So there is no impact on the heat or because it's an internal cladding panel. It is just for the architecture beauty of the place and the texture of the wall. That's it.
Indeed, sir. No, sir.
So one more thing. I think we have some time still. I want to touch about another topic, small topic from my experience only, which is how to pass and get good grades in your college. Yeah. So I call it cheat. So first, if you want to pass college, may it be civil engineering, architecture, whatever, how to pass the exams, right? One very basic thing is that get the last 5-year papers and solve them. That's it. You don't have to even solve the last year paper because the questions are not repeated 2 years consecutively. So only 4-year paper. Take last 4-year papers, solve them. You will not get KT. You can get B, you can get A, you will not get KT. This is my experience from here. The second thing is that if you want to get positions in the class, how to get good positions in the class. Now for that there is a three-pronged approach. One is that go home and revise every day of what has been taught in the class that day. Your retention will be much more. You don't have to worry too much about the exams, and you will be prepared for what is there next day. So it doesn't take hours for revision of the things that you have learned for maybe 2 or 3 lectures. Takes 20 minutes revision because you are just revising. You have just studied in the class. You have to just revise it. It takes 15-20 minutes daily. Just do that. That's the most important thing if you want to get position. The second thing is that when you are preparing for exams, complete your preparation 1 day before the exam or more than that. In the last day, go to the book bank here, sit with your friends, solve the old papers, solve any difficult questions that come with or ask people to come and give you good difficult questions and solve them. So this has helped me a lot. Complete your preparation 1 day before, last day, get into a group, try solving papers. The third one is that try to get old question papers from other institutes which are teaching architecture, for example SPA. Get the papers. There is no problem. You go to their book bank library, they ask for last 5-year paper, get Xerox, I don't know, pay 100 rupees or whatever. Get those papers from Roorkee, from other institutes. Get those papers and try to solve them just before exams, because that time you are more into studies, or any other time. If you are solving those problems, for example, a design problem which comes and you are making that design problem, doing it in 3 hours, you are at par with them. You know what they have is been taught there. If you have a problem in something, you can go to your teachers, you can go to Google, you go to your seniors and solve them. So you will be like with the other institutes which are teaching the thing, you will know all those things. So these 3 things, if you people do, you will be in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 positions in the class. So that is what I wanted to say. If nothing else, then thank you very much for having me here, and it's a pleasure. And I hope that I have been able to inspire some of you to do these things and benefit from it.
Indeed, a very informative session, sir. So as we have reached to end of the program, but no program is completed without thanks and gratitude. So I would like to request Sanjeev Maheshwari, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks.
it could possibly be just a hyphenated term, thank you, but it will not be like that. I have a small doubt or rather query, which was partially answered when you answered that silly question. And it was not a very silly question, it was a very pertinent question, I would say. You said that you are creating an anode for rebars, so that the rebars do not corrupt.
Yes, yes,
है ना?
corrode, yes.
Corrode.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you have answered it partially. I would just go back to it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
said that it's a proprietary detail and proprietary item, and there is a maintenance and whatnot
Correct.
for the sealing that you spoke about.
Uh,
Normally, when the copper tubes are there, we pass a gas in that.
Yes.
So there is no likelihood of that getting corrupted.
Yes.
But
yes.
when it is chilled water, so is it sort of a demineralized water or distilled water or sort?
Yes, it could be freon gas, it could be
Okay.
the gas also. But what happens is that in UAE, we have this chilled water system is on chilled water, which is like highly, it's like demineralized. So generally in any of the building, normal building, we have this chilled water which comes from the government, and then you have your chillers. And then that chiller, the chilled water runs through the building. So there is a process of it that you initially you do testing of the water which is inside it, and then you replace the water so that it is in one consistency, that it should not corrode inside, and then you use it. So that's the general chilled water generally, which comes from a outside source, right? And it comes to all the buildings which are around it. So this is general practiced in UAE, in almost all the buildings.
So in UAE, you have desalination plants for supply of the potable water. Is that so? Is there
Not a desalination plant as such.
sea water desalination?
Yeah. Seawater desalination. It is much more in Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia. Okay.
but it is a part in UAE also. But UAE also has some water, and they import water. So it is a mix of the three.
Thank you. I will start by saying one English quote: "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." Okay, the financial techno power of Middle East, Dubai, these places have really corrupted, isn't it? Maybe our students are basically grounded and steadfast in their beliefs that sustainability has to be the hallmark of any project, no matter how high, how small it is. But in any case, you have spoken about your experiences, which have been very enthusing, very, very, I would say, agitating, because 3 questions came from the first year itself, and that was a hallmark of your presentation, I would say. And the cake was very good. I mean, the whole presentation and icing of the cake was further excellent and very, very interesting. That 3-minute capsulized 8 years of work that has been done and recorded. It was interesting, very interesting, and it was really agitating, and people came out with the right kind of questions also. And it's an eye-opener for the department, because you rightly at the end said that if you want to pass, just do 4 years of, and in fact that is something that we need to discuss among ourselves and design strategy, so that students just do not pass by doing 4 years of papers. That's very good. But second aspect that you said, it's very close to my heart, that yes, students must go back to their homes and hostels and do a review and research of whatever that has been discussed in the class or studios. That's very interesting and very good prescription for students and everybody, I would say. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having come all the way from that place with family and discussing things in very, very amicable, very, very interesting manner. And I thank you. And I thank all those who have been involved with this organization of this lecture. It is in fact not the first one, it is the second one. We have had earlier your junior Imran, Zaid, as we used to call him, Imran, and he spoke about BIM and other things, BIM. And I was going through your biodata of sort. The bottom line that was there was control and monitoring. That is very important. And he also spoke about his projects and his experiences, and in the end he said, "Pura control hai." And that is the punchline, I would say, for both the presentations. I'll still, if you permit me for a while, I'll still share with you one interesting thing that my professor, Professor D.C. Thapar in Lucknow University, Dean of the Lucknow University, used to tell us and share with us. He used to say that there was a time in India when Chief Engineer Railways used to report to Chief Architect Railways. That was the kind of control that was there in the architects fraternity during the British time. We have gradually lost it to engineers, but with people like you, who are our emissaries also and who are our flag bearers also, I see a change which will definitely come our way, and students who are likely to graduate in time will be on a much firmer footing and better. So I thank you for this very, very agitating, very, very interesting, very, very heartening talk. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much.
And no celebration, no program is completed without giving a vote of thanks to the people who have been working all this while. Architect Mr. Faraz Farooq and his dedicated team of students who have been working all with him. Mr. Mujib in our department who has been associated with him. They have all worked in this. And finally, nothing can be done without the sanction of the head of the institution, that is chairman. So thanks are due to him as well for allowing this. And this will continue, we hope, and will do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I extend my duly thanks and gratitude to everyone for their kind cooperation and peaceful listening. Thank you.